There was a woman by the name of Janice. And Janice decided at 45 years old, she was going to run her first marathon. She trained for months, lacing up her shoes every day before sunrise and logging miles on lonely streets. On the morning of the big race, she felt ready. And the first 10 miles just flew by. The crowd cheered, the adrenaline surged, and Janice thought, I can do this. But around mile 20, she hit what runners call the wall. Her legs felt like concrete. Her lungs burned. Her mind screamed, just quit now. It ain't worth it. And then she heard a voice in the crowd. It was her teenage son. And he held up a sign with big, messy letters that said, Mom, you got more in you than you think. Now, Janice didn't exactly sprint the rest of the way, and she certainly didn't float across the finish line. She shuffled, she stumbled, but she kept moving forward, one step at a time. And when she crossed that finish line, tears just streaming down her face, she said, the hardest part wasn't running out of strength. The hardest part was trusting that I could keep going when everything in me screamed to stop. So let's take a look at that Old Testament text. Now, Jen has taught the kids when we're trying to memorize the books of the Bible. Tell me if I get this right, Jen. Habakkuk?
That's what I say, but in the song it's Habakkuk.
And I was going to say, in seminary they taught us Habakkuk. So we're talking about the same guy, the same prophet here, however we pronounce it. So let's look at that Habakkuk text. Habakkuk was right there, standing at his 20-mile wall. He looked around. There was injustice. There was violence. There were prayers that the only thing they seemed to do was just echo out into the nothingness. And Habakkuk cries out, "Oh Lord, how long shall I call out to you for help? And you will not listen." The thing you gotta love about Habakkuk, his was not a tidy, polite kind of faith. No. His was an aching, ragged faith. Habakkuk was accusing God of not listening. And notice God's answer. It was not a quick rescue. God did not go ahead and fix everything right away. But God also didn't give a defensive explanation. God wasn't saying, yeah, I'm listening. I can listen to you and you're still not going to get what you want right away. Instead, what God told Habakkuk, make a vision and make it plain. If it seems to tarry, wait for it. For the righteous live by their faith. God doesn't promise us speed. God promises us presence. And God promises that the vision is real, even when it is slow in coming. Habakkuk is teaching us that faith is not the absence of questions. Rather, faith is the courage to keep asking the questions while continuing to walk with God. Now let's take a look at that reading from 2 Timothy. Centuries after Habakkuk, Paul writes to Timothy, a young leader just totally overwhelmed by the weight of ministry. He's tired. He's weary. He's ready to give up. And Paul doesn't shame him. He understands. Instead, Paul reminds Timothy, rekindle the gift of God that is within you. For God did not give you a spirit of cowardice, but rather a spirit of power and of love and of self-discipline. Poor Timothy had hit that mile 20 wall yet again. The flame flickers, but Paul says, don't walk away. Breathe on it, fan it. Trust that the Spirit is stronger than your exhaustion. Do you hear the echo of Habakkuk in Paul's words here? God told Habakkuk, wait for the vision, buddy. Paul tells Timothy, don't abandon the gift. Both are urging us to stay in the race, even when everything is screaming for us to quit. And then we come to our gospel reading in Luke. The disciples plead with Jesus, oh, increase our faith, Jesus. They want something bigger, more beautiful, more dramatic. But Jesus tells them, if you had faith the size of a mustard seed, it would be enough. See, it's really not about the size. It's about going the distance. It's about the kind of faith that may look teeny tiny, but keeps showing up. And then Jesus ties the mustard seed thing in with a story about a servant doing their duty. Now, it's not glamorous. It's not headline worthy. It's just a steady, humble, faithful work. Now, be careful here. This is not Jesus calling us to burnout. It's a call to trust that the ordinary mustard seed kind of faith is enough. Do you hear how these three passages are just working together? Habakkuk cries out, how long, O Lord? And God answers, hold on, buddy. Paul tells Timothy, fan the flame. Don't quit now, son. And Jesus said, even mustard seed faith is enough. Together, these three passages form one message. Faith is not about being fearless. Faith is not about being strong all the time. Faith is about trusting God. Trusting God to keep moving, keep loving, keep serving, even when you hit that wall at mile 20. When Janice was running her marathon and hit the wall, she didn't suddenly find new strength in her legs. She found strength in her son's words. Mom, you've got more in you than you think. That's exactly what God is telling us today. Telling us through Habakkuk, don't give up, the vision will come. Through Paul, rekindle the gift, the Spirit is within you. And through Jesus, your little seed of faith is enough. So whatever kind of wall or mile 20 you are facing, whether that is grief, uncertainty, fear, exhaustion, illness, hang in there. Keep going. Not in your own strength, but in God's promises. Not because faith for the long haul, it's just not about a sprint. It's about walking with God. One little mustard seed step at a time. Keep going, my friends. Amen.